ministry, and you're going to change the lives of thousands of kids. And he just looked at me and said, now go do it, and just walked away. That was the last thing I ever said to him, the last time I ever saw him. But that's what he told me to do. And I was like, all right, that's can't be any more perfect. So I was like, all right, so I went outside and called my mom, and she didn't answer, so I called the next person in line, and he answered, and it was my former youth pastor, and he answered, and he was all excited for me, and I was just all fired up. I was like, I finally got it, I got it, I can't wait, and to like get this started, and then hung up with him. The mom called me back, so I called and told her. But after that, I just went to a little technical college at first, just not really sure what university I wanted to go to, and ended up at Lee. And my best friend Nick at the time, right before I was about to go to Lee, he told me, he was like, I'm just gonna let you know, like, you're gonna meet your wife there. I was just like, no, I'm not. And I was like, I'm just going to college. He's like, no, you're gonna meet your wife there. And man, was he right. So he completely had it right. But so now I want to just jump into youth ministry, and I just want to get there to a point where I'm youth pastor somewhere, just because we're in a day and age now where, I mean, the youth of America is just in such a dangerous place. Amen. A lot more dangerous than I was when I was their age. It just the world that we live in just wants them to be so special and be so different and be so set apart, but they already are.
Yeah. Amen.
When they were first put on this planet, they were called to do something different than anybody else was. We are all set apart. It is like our fingerprint. We are all different. And kids now, we just feel just like a pressure to perform, just to fit in. Like we have to be something and do something just to fit in. But that pressure to perform does not come from our Father in heaven.
That's right.
The pressure to perform keeps you wearing masks. And the pressure to perform is a trap. It is the devil. It is stones into bread. It is nothing but a lie from the enemy.
Yes.
And all they need to do is just the same thing that I said at that youth camp. God, like, if you would call me to do something, I need you to fill me to do it. I need you to fill me to pursue this, and just give me a purpose so I don't have to try and perform and just impress people anymore. Because there's only one person I'm trying to impress, and that's you. Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, because we're going to stand before Him one day.
Amen.
And go, God, I just hope I did everything that you wanted me to do. And I took away from everything that I felt like I needed to do and put that aside. But I just wanted to do what you called me to do. And just do what you wanted me to do. And I have just a heart for these kids, because they are in a place where they're pushed to be something, and that just comes from culture. It doesn't come from God. It comes from the things that we watch here. It comes from culture. It does not come from our Father in heaven. And I just wanted to tell them, like, you don't have to be something. You don't have to be the most well-dressed person. You can come in broken. I mean, that's the purpose of a church, is to have broken people.
Amen.
It's just a hospital for the broken. So they don't have to come in looking like something or being something. Just come as you are, and that's all He ever wants. He just wants you as you are.
Yes.
But that's just a short little thing of my heart for the youth, and I just hope that one day, God will be able to convey a message to where every youth in America can hear that. But I did come this morning with a message that I really feel like God wanted me to share, and this is a story that literally popped out of nowhere. When Pastor invited me to come preach, I was like, okay, and I'm going to preach, and I was like, I got to have a message though, and I was like, but I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to listen, and the answer is going to come to me. And it did, and this is a message I feel like somebody needs to hear. So right now, if you have your Bibles, if you would like to open up to John 11, and we're going to look at chapters 1 through 4. I'm going to read verses 1 through 4, but we're going to go back and we're going to break them down. because this is a very common story. It's the story of Lazarus and Jesus risen from the dead. And this is a story we've heard 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways, but I feel like this morning there's something new and there's something fresh that God is wanting to say. So I'm just going to be obedient in that. So we're going to read verses 1 through 4. I'm going to jump to a couple different verses, but you don't have to worry about those. I'll have those already ready. So John 11, verses 1 through 4. I'm out of the NIV. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick." When he heard this, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Okay, so I'm actually going to break this down. And before I do, where did Chip go? Is my bottle of water back here? Okay, I'm going to grab this.
Get up already.
See, I did end up back here, Pastor. Sorry. I meant to do this before, but... Okay, thank you for that water break. Okay, so I'm going to start breaking this down, and through it there's going to be a word that's going to be conveyed. So I'm going to reread. So now a man named Lazarus was sick, and he was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Now the village of Bethany was close to Jerusalem. It was about 20 miles or so from Perea. I'm not going to lie, I had to look up that word to how to pronounce it because I did not want to mispronounce it. From Perea, where Jesus was teaching, and he received the message that Lazarus was sick. Now, when Jesus was preaching in Perea, there was hundreds of people, and this is cool. This just shows like how good God is and how amazing He is. When He was preaching to hundreds of people, there was no technology to amplify His voice.
Yeah.
It was just under the sound of His voice. And if I do this now, it's still very hard for people to hear me. Knowing this, He was preaching to hundreds of people on a beach. If you've ever been to the beach, it is not the quietest place in the world. But God, knowing how good He is, He preached on the water. So that way, when He spoke, His voice would be amplified as the waves were going.
Yeah.
So His voice would be carried through the waves as they were being pushed ashore, so the hundreds of people could hear Him preach. And it's just absolutely amazing that He could, do that, but He is God and He is amazing. But He was preaching to hundreds of people. And now, this Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same person who poured perfume on the Lord's feet and wiped His feet with her hair. So the censors sent word to Jesus saying, "Lord, the one you love is sick." And you would figure that Jesus, of all people, especially with someone being sick, that someone that He loved, and like it said that the one you love is sick, you feel like there would be some urgency. You would feel like Jesus would look and go, "Oh no, really? Like, okay, we gotta go right now. We have to go because we have got to save this guy."
Yeah.
But instead, He looked at Mary and said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for the God's glory, and so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Great, awesome, thank you, Jesus. I really appreciate the word, but can we got to get going. And looks back at her and goes, "No, did you not hear me? This sickness will not end in death, and it's for God's glory, so God's Son may be glorified through it." And He's like, "No, I heard you. That's good. We got to go. He doesn't have a lot of time. You got to quit hanging with these people. You got to come help your boy. You got to come get your man. You got to come save this guy." And Lazarus was close to Jesus. It even said in the Bible that this is the one He loves. He loves Lazarus. And they were close. And Mary and Martha knew the love Jesus had for Lazarus. And Mary and Martha also knew the miracles Jesus could perform. So why wouldn't He be the first person they go to?
Yeah. Amen.
Because, for all the parents in the room, if a child was sick and you knew there was one person that could heal your child, would you not do anything and everything
Yes.
to get into that person? You would do anything and everything to get that person to your child. So that's what they were going for. They're like, I've seen Jesus do these things. I've seen Jesus heal these people. He can do miracles, and he can do another one now. We need him, otherwise he's going to die. And can we all be human this morning and admit if we got that answer from Jesus and he didn't come immediately, would we not have been a little disappointed, a little upset? I feel like he would come immediately, and especially for me, I know family to me is the most important thing. And if there was someone in my family that was sick and there was anything that I could do, I would do everything in my power to help them, to give them the help they need, especially if they were dying and there was only one person in the world that could heal them. I would go get that person. But Jesus always has a plan. Amen. There is always a plan in place. Now, we may not always see it, or it may not look how we thought it would, but there is always a plan. And we have all been through the moments where life gets rough and we get frustrated and we're confused. And we're just like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I need some help. I'm calling out to you. And he's always still, because he knows there's a plan in place. We just don't see it. But when all the frustration, all the confusion, and all the stuff that goes bad gets better, and you realize the plan, you thank God that there was a plan. For the person that just walked out of your life and you go, why would they walk out on me, God? I thought they were supposed to be with me. And now you see where they are and you're like, thank God they walked out of my life. Thank goodness they didn't drag me along with you. And being passed up for a promotion at work, and you were like, Lord, I thought this was going to help me financially and you were going to be with me and I was going to get this promotion, and you didn't. And you, after the frustration, and there was another promotion in a bigger spot with more money and more benefits, and you're like, thank God I did not get that little tiny promotion that I thought was the biggest thing in the world. Thank God you had a plan.
Yeah, amen.
But Mary was right. We've all been there where there's a plan, and Jesus, he waited. He waited several days. And you would figure if he didn't at least go himself, he would send one of his servants hey, look, this person over here, they have someone that's very sick and he's very dear to me and I can't go at the moment, so do you mind going with them and just tending to him until I get there? You figure that'd be the least, okay, well, if we can't get the man, he can get the helper and he'll be along and he'll take over. But he waited. And I would have been the person who's like, why didn't you send anybody, or why didn't you come yourself? But he did send something. He sent something before them. We're going to get into that. So in verse 4, when he heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, and so God's Son may be glorified through it. But what did he send? He sent something in front of them. He sent his word. He sent his word already, saying, don't worry, I know you think he's going to die, and you think this is it for him, and this is going to be the last thing that he does, but no, this sickness will not end in death. But God's going to get glory out of this, so don't worry, he's not going to die. The sickness will not end in death. This story will not stop with his death. The sickness will not end in death, and God was going to do this for his glory and his glory alone. And his word is everything.
Yes, amen.
And our job is whether or not to trust it. It says in the Bible, we've heard this all the time, is to have faith like a child.
Yeah.
To have faith like a little child. And I remember growing up in church, and my favorite part of every Sunday was after the fact, and I was like, hey, looked around the kitchen this morning, saw Mom wasn't cooking anything, and looked in the pantry, and we have 2 slices of bread, and that's about it. We don't have any food. Do we get to go out to eat? Can we go out to eat? Can we go out to eat? That was always the best part. We always used to go to Ryan's. People in the room went to Ryan's, they had the sneeze guard, and it was the best food ever. But we always used to go to Ryan's, and I was always so excited, and I'm like, just the possibility, just the thought of being able to go out to eat. So I'm like, can we go out to eat? And if my father looked at me and said, yes, we will go out to eat, I never again asked him, are we going to go? Because he already told me yes, and I already heard my father say yes, and I completely trusted it.
Amen.
And I completely trusted what he said. And I knew, because the faith that I had as a little child is I never doubted my father's word. I always took him at his word. And we so often become so mature to where we stop trusting God.
Yeah, that's right.
And to have faith as a child, faith of a child. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. Faith of a child does not mean to be childlike. It's to mean to have faith as a child, to know that if my God says it and my Father says it, I'm supposed to trust His word completely. So when Jesus sent His word before them, saying this sickness will not end in death, knowing that if they had faith like a child, they would have been like, okay, we'll meet you back here and then you'll fix this when you get here. Like, we have nothing to worry about. They would have gone back and go, don't worry guys, Jesus, He's got this. He said He'll be here in a few days and we're gonna get this thing sorted out. Like, it's all good. But He waited and He sent His word before Him. But for the people in the room that can be real this morning, no, that would have been not enough. Like, I would have wanted the man. But 2 days had gone by, and Jesus arrived at the tomb of Lazarus. Now, the definition of a tomb is a large vault, typically underground, one for burying the dead. And Lazarus was exactly where he needed to be, was in a tomb, because he was dead.
Yeah.
And Jesus knew this, and Lazarus has been in a tomb for a long time. Like, that body's been in there for 4 days. It's stinking. There are flies flying around this thing. It's just gross. It's just like he has been there for a while, and at that point, like, everyone knew. Everyone looking around knew this man, he is dead, and there's nothing we can do. And he could have came sooner and saved him a while ago when he was sick. Like, it would have been very easy. For people that are sick, there's still the chance of them being healed. You know, like, you being really sick, like, okay, there is a possibility that they're going to beat this and they're going to go forward. And this is not, like, we don't have to worry about them. So it would have been a lot easier if Jesus came when he was sick, healing him while he was sick.
Yeah.
But instead, he waited and waited. And after Lazarus had died, he showed up. Now, Martha was upset, as a lot of us would have been. Going, like, Jesus, like, why didn't you come? If you would have came sooner, you could have stopped this. If you came sooner, you could have intervened. If you just came sooner, he would still be walking around. He would still be alive. But you waited. But if you just came sooner, all this would have been fixed.
Yeah. Amen.
But Jesus reminded them and said, remember what I told you? God's going to get some glory from this.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord.
God is going to get some glory for this. And Jesus walked to the tomb, told him to roll the stone away, and just said, Lazarus, come out. And out came Lazarus. Now, I hear that, and it's a great story, and it's amazing. It can be preached 1,000 different ways. But I always wondered, why didn't he come when he was sick? Why didn't he come when he was sick? Because he's dealt with sick people before, and he's healed them. So I've always wondered, why didn't he come when he was sick? Why did he wait until he was dead? Like I said, when people are sick, there's always hope and they can get better.
Yeah.
When there's death, you're out of hope. This is the end of it. And Jesus was looking at everyone around saying, let me show you what I can do when there's no hope.
Yeah.